Hello, incredible souls, and welcome to the Art of Wellness. This is an incredible series that I'm doing to connect with you to create more of that community, that connection, collaboration, and conversation for us to contemplate, to go deeper in our discussions, in our inquiries, and our contemplations. And so know that the intention is for us to really connect to our body, to our power, to who we're here to be. And in these calls, I'll be bringing forward wisdom and information, but it's a different kind of information that you can embody and create the desired transformation. It's more than just information. It's deep truth and transmissions that have transformed my life and the lives of so many others. And so I want to bring this forward and also just share about the power of the times that we're in. I have some questions for those of you who are new to the Art of Wellness call series. It's a place where you can come to ask any questions that you might have, to see what is something that you've been curious about and have a question with regards to your wellness, and also to receive coaching. If you want to come up in the hot seat and ask questions, I can coach you. It's just an opportunity for us to connect and for you to connect on an even deeper level with your body, with yourself, because wellness in the mainstream has been so disconnected from the body. And that's why I bring embodied wellness, because it's in the body. It begins with the body. It ends with the body. Your body is not the problem. It's the portal for your power, and it's where the transformation occurs. Your body is the blueprint. And it's really about becoming your own best wellness architect to architect that health, that wellness that you desire, because your body already knows how to heal. It's just there are so many misleading trends and concepts and misinformation out there that leads us astray and leads us away from what is truth. And that is what I found, is that the conventional way led me astray, and it was the unconventional way that led me to my true power, to my healing, to my radiant health. And so everything I've shared and everything I continue to share is that which I've embodied and learned and integrated in my own life. So we are here. It is the 6th of November, and we just had the full moon in Taurus. So if you've been feeling like you've had an intense week, I had a breath experience last night for some of the women in Radiance Reset, this 8-day experience that I am doing right now. And kind of the collective feel was this intensity. Like, we're all feeling so much right now, and it was a super full moon, and that just means that the lunar energies are more heightened. And I'm not a seasoned astrologer at all. I am very much a novice when it comes to astrology, but I find it fascinating, and just understanding the transits and the cycles and the science of the stars to be so fascinating, and how it impacts the collective as well as our own personal inquiry, contemplation, and experience. So it's here for us. It's here for us, inviting us to rise. Everything that we're feeling right now, like for me, I know I was feeling a lot of old patterns come up, a lot of old energy and emotion and feelings and thoughts and beliefs. And when that all rises up, it can feel like, oh my God, am I going backwards? What's happening? It can feel like I'm taking 20 steps back, instead of remembering that that is part of the cycle of evolution and growth, and it arises to be seen in a new light and new consciousness, new awareness, to then be alchemized. And something that has been coming through for me recently, and I'm going to share more, is, you know, that I love words. I love words. I love poetry. I love to write. But what's curious to me is that some words that I'm very fascinated by contain the same letters, yet are spelled very differently and convey different meanings, right? And so one word is density and destiny. And so a lot of us in our human lives and our human experience have felt a lot of density. We've experienced a lot of challenge, a lot of struggle, a lot of heartbreak, whatever it is. But that density was never meant to limit us. It was never meant to hold us back nor weigh us down. It was meant to liberate us. And when we take that density and we alchemize it, we alchemize it into our true destiny. Because everything that we've faced, everything that we've experienced was never meant to harm nor hinder us, rather to grow, strengthen, and prepare us, to grow us into the capable leaders, the wise individuals that we're meant to be. We are so much more powerful than we've been led to believe. We are so incredibly competent, capable, and courageous. And that's what it is. It's like we rise together. And so we get to share what we're going through. And I think for me, a lot of my journey has been so intimate and so personal. And that's what's led to the creation of embodied wellness. And it's what's led to me sharing in this way, but also feeling like it hasn't always felt okay to share in the most vulnerable times. Yet it's in those moments where we share vulnerably that create the most connection and create the most deepening, right? And we're all navigating something, but we've been taught and conditioned to believe that we have to show up a certain way and feel a certain way and present a certain way. And it's just not true. It's just not true. Like, we need to know that it's okay to be honest. Because when we are honest, like yesterday, I showed up on that call after having a complete emotional experience and just a really challenging day. I got home and I felt exhausted. I felt disconnected. I felt overwhelmed and just so much emotion. And I didn't even want to lead the call, but I showed up and I said, I just was bawling my eyes out right before this call, and I'm showing up here because I know that we are all going through it. And the people that I've spoken to this week have all felt the intensity of these times of this week. And so know that you're not alone. And when we go into those moments of feeling the density and feeling that intensity, it can feel like we're all alone. But we get to zoom out and remember that most of us are feeling that intensity and that pressure, and it's not meant to collapse us, to deter us. It's meant to strengthen us and to accelerate our evolution. And something that was brought forward on a mastermind with one of my mentors recently was this concept of pressure versus fear. And I have been feeling a lot of fear and a lot of pressure. And for those of you who are familiar with human design, you know that there are these different motivations in human design, and my motivation in human design happens to be fear. And the motivation is simply what drives us, what motivates us, right? To create, to set out to achieve certain goals and outcomes. And so for me, mine is fear. And I've been learning to walk with fear, but I used to interpret fear as something that was bad and a sign to stop and turn around, but it's actually a sign to move forward. However, there was a clear distinction that my mentor brought forward, and she spoke about how pressure is meant to forge us, to support us in creating what we're here to create. There's a healthy amount of pressure, but when it becomes this confining, unhealthy amount of pressure, and then we just collapse into the fear, that's when it becomes destabilizing. And you think about diamonds, diamonds are forged under heat and pressure. And if you take out that carbon before the heat and pressure completes its process, you won't have the diamond. You'll interrupt it mid process. So when you're feeling pressure in your life, we want to do anything to alleviate that pressure when actually that pressure is just calling you to rise into your potential. That pressure is calling to expand you, calling you to grow, calling you to evolve, calling you to become. But we misinterpret that pressure because the pressure is not comfortable and growth is not comfortable. But we've been conditioned to believe that we need to feel comfortable, that we need to feel safe. But then we keep repeating the same patterns, experiencing the same experiences because we are living in the linear life of predictability. And that which we've known. But to step into something different, something new, something true, we have to be willing to step into the unknown, something that is not familiar, something that does not feel comfortable. Because when we're feeling that discomfort, it's a sign that we're growing. And I have been feeling so much discomfort lately and in my life. And it's like, remember, you're growing. The discomfort is a sign of growth. So when we reframe things and we perceive things differently, our experience changes. And that is the power of our mind and mastering our mind, but also becoming so aware of our process of growth and becoming an evolution, and knowing when stories we're believing aren't even ours so that we can let them go. Often these things that are controlling what we think and how we perceive aren't even ours. They're these conditioned beliefs that haven't even been proven untrue. And so I know I go in all these different directions with these calls because everything is interconnected. In the quantum field, everything is interconnected. You know, there is quantum entanglement, and one electron will influence another in a different part of the world. So it's this frequency of knowing that when I focus on what's present right now, I'm not just impacting myself physically, but energetically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and impacting those around me. So, you focusing on you, you focusing on your health, your wellness, your mindset, your emotions, whatever it is good for all of you and good for the entire collective in the world. And embodied wellness really focuses on the five foundations. And those are the physical, energetic, mental, emotional, and spiritual elements of wellness. So, everything is welcome to be brought forward, and we get to remember who we're here to be and what we're here to experience, and know that everything is here to serve you and your becoming and your evolution. And that the density really is just calling you to alchemize it, to rewrite your destiny. Because so often we base our future and our belief of what's possible based on what we've experienced in our past. But that's not true. And it's going to limit us until we let it liberate us. And that is why we're here, to let it liberate us, to remember, to rise into our power and to alchemize. And that is the power of embodied wellness. It's art, it's alchemy, it's science and spirituality. And we get to be it all, do it all, have it all, become it all, and feel it all. So, with that, I am so grateful you're here. This is such a powerful time of transformation, a powerful time of recalibration and reimagination, reinvention. A lot of people are feeling this call to something more. And this is something that I have been feeling for most of my life, which is what led me to let go of the medical career and pursuing that path, because I felt like there was more. I felt like my soul was feeling so unfulfilled and was just feeling the pressure to pursue my potential, the pressure to realize my purpose. And what is that purpose? Who am I? Who am I here to become? And this is the uncomfortable thing. It's like you feel resistance, you don't want to do something. Well, that is the time to do it. And that is the thing you need to do, because Stephen Pressfield, in his book, War of Art, speaks about resistance and how when we feel resistance towards something, it's a sign that there is growth there. He says the more resistance we feel towards something, the more important it is for our spiritual and personal evolution. And so, learning to see that resistance as something that cultivates resilience and expands you into your true potential and power. And also remember that there's a bit of pressure that comes with that resistance, and that pressure is transforming you into your most powerful, radiant version. And so, how can you rise and meet that version of yourself? How can you rise and become who you're meant to be through it all? These challenges are not obstacles. They're not meant to deter you. They're meant to catalyze your becoming, to reveal to you your capacity to grow, your capabilities already innately within you. And that's one of the flaws within the personal growth and wellness space that I found, is this idea that we have to constantly fix ourselves, that we have to constantly work and strive to achieve more, to be more, and do more to be worthy. And that lens of seeing ourselves as broken, which I done my whole life, pursuing the next thing to fix myself, to feel good, to feel worthy, to validate myself, pursuing whatever it was, believing that that would be the thing that led to my fulfillment, my success. But it's like, no, wherever you go, there you are, as Lao Tzu says. So whenever I am somewhere that I'm like, I don't like this, I remember that it's me and I can change my frequency. Like, even in the most challenging circumstances, I have found immense moments of joy. And then it's like these perfect circumstances and beautiful surroundings, and I can feel so much pain and sadness. And so it really is the inner state, that inner frequency and energetic. So we have so much more power and control than we even realize. And that is why I'm so passionate about sharing embodied wellness because it is a journey of remembering and reclaiming who you are, but it's also a journey of empowerment, embodiment, because your body is a source of your power, and the whole world has been strategically guided away from that because when we're disconnected from our body, we're disconnected from our power. And the world, like the systems know that. So everything has been designed to distract and disconnect us. But it's our time to remember to reconnect and to rise. Because when we do, we become unstoppable. And that is why you're here. And your health is that foundation. Because when you don't have your health, all you're focused on is how to heal and get your health back. But when you have your health, you have the whole world at your fingertips. Anything is possible. So that is why I'm so passionate about helping people reclaim their health, because it's really about stepping into your power, your purpose, and potential. That is the essence of embodied wellness. But we start with the foundation, just like you start with the foundation of building a home, you start with the foundation of your health. And then you realize there's so much more than you've been led to believe, so much more power, so much more potential, so much more capacity that you can hold and do and create. So, with that, I have a few questions. I want to share some context too for these questions because I have been on the Advanced 369 cleanse for 2 weeks now. I've done back-to-back rounds and they're 9-day cleanses, and they bring me back to myself, my clarity. I feel so good when I'm on these cleanses. I feel so energized. I feel so inspired. Not always inspired because there's a lot that happens when we cleanse. We're not just cleansing the physical body, we're cleansing energetically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually too. There's a lot of deep soul healing and evolution that happens when you cleanse. And it's not just about the physical body. Yes, the physical body is the most dense energetically, so it's the most tangible. It's the one that's most experienced and felt and most obvious. But then there are these subtler layers that we get to experience. And so when I've been cleansing, I notice physically the inflammation, the fluid retention, the heaviness, the puffiness that I was feeling is gone. Like I have had a few stressful months and, navigating this journey with mom and being home with her in September and in and out of the hospital and talking about end of life and her feeling really on the edge of death and looking and being really close to death and then coming back and healing in her way and just getting stronger and living with me for the last 6 weeks. It's been such a journey that's stretched my capacity. And there have been moments where I feel like I don't know how much more I can take. I feel so stretched. I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I need to be showing up more. I need to be doing this. And I'm balancing all these different areas, and a lot of change and completion has actually happened in my life. And I've shared about that. But I have also seen the power of cleansing because while these last few months have been so stressful, it's easy for us to default to old patterns of eating, doing, and being and thinking when we're feeling the stress. And stress, again, is just pressure. And so when we learn to see stress as a teacher, we can see, oh, I'm being called to rise, because it's not always that stress is unhealthy, but it's our reaction and our perception of stress that creates more stress and can create that cascade of inflammation and the downward spiral, right? So being aware of the stress, like, oh, I feel stress, and then being aware of how to support your body with certain supplements that are adrenal supportive supplements that are adaptogenic that help your body cope and respond to stress more strategically, more resiliently. You get to decide how to support yourself in these moments. And there's a time where I was just eating more fat and doing the best I could and went to this default pattern of just eating my emotions rather than feeling my emotions, which I know many of you can relate because we haven't been taught to become emotionally adept and emotionally intelligent in our conventional way of learning and growing. But the more we connect to the body and the more we realize how powerful it is to feel, to heal, the more we alchemize that density into our destiny. And so with this time with mom, it's been such a perspective of, okay, how can I still care for myself and care for myself with the utmost respect and maintain those high standards without compromising? Because there were times where we would just go to our favorite restaurant and I would get to go and we were eating more fat. And I just noticed this heaviness in my body. I started to gain this weight. I started to feel really puffy. I started to feel heavy and ick. And I know that I, as a wellness architect, am my own best proof of concept. And when I feel good in my body, I feel like showing up. I feel like it's good to be seen and my energy totally changes. But when we don't feel good in our body, we tend to want to hide and then we default to patterns that perpetuate feeling icky in our body or feeling that lack of confidence and insecure, whatever it is. And so when we change what we're doing, we change how we're behaving, we change how we're perceiving, we change everything. Everything else changes. And so I knew that I needed to cleanse and I had been procrastinating on it a little bit. And when I finally said, you know what, we're cleansing, my body responded immediately. And I have lost that puffiness, the inflammation has gone, that fluid retention and that weight gain that was starting to arise is gone. And I'm getting stronger and leaner and toned and becoming fitter again. And I feel so good on this cleanse because I feel so alive. I'm eating foods that are so health promoting, that are so radiance enhancing, that give me the nutrients that my body needs to actually heal. Because so many of the foods out there are so many misleading trends that tell us to focus on the protein, that tell us to eat the dairy, to eat the eggs, to eat these things, to follow this protocol, to do this, all of what it'll flush, to cleanse in a certain way that may actually be harming us. And that is why I want to come on to clarify that and to share. And I wrote a post today. And if you haven't read it, you can go read it. But as a wellness architect, I'm not a teacher. I'm not here to just teach information. I am here to transmit truth, truth that transforms your life, your body, your mind, your soul. Because the truth is what heals. And as my mentor Melanie says, the truth is the strongest frequency on earth. When I feel into that frequency of truth, it's like it's unwavering. I am so certain and I'm so anchored in my truth and my body and my knowing that it's like you can't convince me otherwise because I just have that depth of knowing and this is what I know to be true and this is what I found to be true time and time again, even through the experimentation, even through learning through contrast and experiencing that which I don't want to find what I do or finding a certain way of doing something through first experiencing a contrasting way. It's like we just know because we know. And a lot of things, a lot of trends out there, and a lot of people have asked, like, what do you think about intuitive eating? And I just feel like when we're so disconnected from our body and we're misinterpreting the signs and the symptoms and the feelings in our bodies, I really get hesitant to intuitive eat because a lot of people will go and intuitively eat, but they're eating foods that actually perpetuate the stress and code their body for stress and survival rather than for radiance and creation. And that is not their fault. It's just we're not interpreting the science correctly. And then sometimes when we eat really healthy and we eat these foods that might cause a little discomfort in the gut, it's like, oh, I can't eat leafy greens because it causes intestinal discomfort. And it's like, no, no, that's actually a cleansing reaction. And we have to understand that that is what is healing us. But it's like sometimes to heal, we have to go through the discomfort of purging those toxins, chemicals, pathogens, etc to then heal. But it's that process of letting go and release that's not comfortable. And we try to avoid feeling the discomfort. But a lot of times with cleansing, there is a lot of discomfort. There is a lot of emotional pain that arises. Another thing, too, is like the cellulite encapsulates these toxins, but also adrenaline. Excess adrenaline can be stored in the fatty deposits of the body. And so, as you cleanse and eliminate the fat from your diet and you're able to release those fatty stores in the cellulite, you're going to see that dissolution of those fat cells, and that will liberate those adrenaline stores. And then you might feel an emotion that was from the past. And so, know that. Cleansing is so multidimensional, just like you are multidimensional and it's so multifaceted. And so it's not going to be one linear path and progression. Every cleanse is different, just like every day is different. And that is the beauty of life. We are here to architect our life and experience this whole plethora, this myriad of emotions and experiences and magic and miracles and understanding that the body speaks to us in this very unique and intelligent way is so foundational to understand, but we have to decode the symptoms and we have to decode the signs and understand that sometimes what we're interpreting is actually leading us astray and away from the truth, and then leads us away from the foods that actually heal. And then we pursue foods like the dairy and the high protein diet because we feel good on them, but not for the reason we think. And that's because they're high in fat. And anytime we're eating that high fat diet, we are thickening the blood. And every time the blood gets thick, in order to protect the heart, the adrenals release adrenaline to thin the blood because adrenaline is a natural blood thinner. So it's actually that you're feeling good because of the adrenaline rush and the adrenaline high that you get, and then you become addicted to the adrenaline. But it's not actually like, oh, I feel so good on this food, I feel so naturally energized. It's this false sense of an energy and the adrenaline, which the adrenaline is corrosive to the liver and it actually accelerates your aging. That can deplete your adrenals when you have so much adrenaline coursing through you, and that can lead to hormonal imbalances, that can lead to weight gain, that can lead to all these different skin and gut issues. There are so many things. And so that is why I stand for truth. That is why I stand for sharing this truth and sharing my story and sharing my mom's story, because these ways of living and these harmful health trends that so many people are doing, the cold plunging, the intermittent fasting, the olive oil flushes, the apple cider vinegar shots, the coffee enemas. There are so many things that are harmful out there that are gaining traction because of the immediate adrenaline reaction that happens, and people are getting addicted to that feeling like, oh, I feel so good, but not for the reason we think. And so when I'm answering some of these questions this evening, they pertain more to the cleansing, because cleansing is one of the foundations in embodied wellness and in healing and creating, architecting radiant health. And it's important to realize that cleansing is foundational because, yes, you have your kidneys, you have your liver, you have your lymphatic system that are all part of the cleansing organ systems in the body. But when they get sluggish and they get overburdened with toxins, pathogens, toxic heavy metals, chemicals, etc., mind you, we are exposed to those chemicals, those pathogens on a daily basis. We have all these exposures in the external environment that we can't control, but we can control our body, our internal environment, rather, like what we're putting in our body, how we're nourishing our body. We can control our home environment, how we're curating it. Are we using toxic products? Are we investing in clean, green, organic cookware, in organic sheets, bedding, towels, like really good quality products that minimize our toxic exposures and thus enhance our radiance, enhance our body's ability to cleanse and heal? Because the more you cleanse, the more you heal. A lot of the symptoms that we're experiencing are a sign that we actually need to cleanse. And so, one of the questions that came up today in my Instagram questions box. So, to clarify, for those of you who are new to these calls and you have questions, you can always email me, anna@annafink.com, with any questions that you have that you want answered. You can come on live and answer or ask your questions rather, or you can always, the day before the call, I will put a question box in my Instagram stories and you can go in and type in your questions. You could also send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook and ask me any questions that you have, because when I can see those questions, I can answer and I respond. I'm a generator in human design, and so my strategy is to respond. And so I have so much to share and so much to say, but then when I don't have anything to respond to, I can kind of feel like, well, what do I even share? But these question and answer sessions, these opportunities to connect and collaborate and converse and share, give me something to respond to. So one of the questions was like, how do I know if my body needs to cleanse? Like, what are some of the signs? And some of the signs are symptoms that we've quite normalized, like acne, like any skin conditions, rashes, eczema, psoriasis, any puffiness, any inflammation. And I was speaking with a few women recently, and they were like, yeah, I notice it in my face. I feel so puffy. I feel so inflamed. And they were feeling like they'd been gaining this weight that they didn't want to gain. And they were like, I can't figure this out. And so weight gain is a huge sign that the body needs to cleanse, because weight reflects the liver health, whether it's unwanted weight gain or unwanted weight loss, that all comes back to liver health. and the lymphatic system, because so much of weight gain is actually fluid retention. And that fluid retention is a safety mechanism. It's a protective mechanism of the body designed to protect you because it's just diluting the toxins in the body. It's a sign of toxicity. And so we're retaining fluid to dilute the toxins in the blood in the body. So signs that you need to cleanse would be that your immune system is weak. You get sick often, you have headaches, you feel dehydrated, you experience a lot of fatigue and energy issues. There are so many different signs and symptoms, whether you're experiencing endometriosis, PCOS, fibroids, cysts, different kinds of conditions like that, SIBO, any kind of gut health condition, any brain fog, all are related to the liver and the overall health of the body. And so the more you cleanse, the more you eliminate those pathogens from the body, which allows us to then eliminate the roots and heal at the root. So we're not just masking symptoms, we're not just suppressing symptoms, we're quite literally creating a new foundation for radiant health to transpire naturally. Because when you align to your body blueprint and you give your body what it needs to heal, you cleanse in a way that's not harmful, because there are so many cleanses out there that are actually so health hindering and so harmful and create so much adrenaline, put the body into shock rather than supporting the system, that actually prevents cleansing and ages you even more because it's putting the liver under a lot of stress. There's so much I have to say on this. So with that, know that these are just symptoms and diagnoses are not your destiny. You can heal. I didn't think healing was possible until I found another way. And I just knew in my soul, I knew there was another way. So that answers that question. There's another question here that says, are cleanses safe long term, or should they be done seasonally? No, this depends on the cleanse because, again, there are so many cleanses, and I highlight this in the Foundations of Cleansing in the Foundations 5-part series course that I've done. So there are so many cleanses out there that lead us away from health, that actually harm the liver and prevent cleansing rather than heal and cleanse safely. The cleanses that I do are all safe for the liver. They're not about deprivation. They are about delivering the most potent, bioavailable, bioabsorbable forms of nutrients to your body to enhance your body's cleansing and healing abilities. So it's safe to cleanse long term. It depends on the individual though, because everyone has a unique body blueprint. Yes, we have the same physiology. I have a heart, you have a heart, we have a liver, and they perform the same functions. The size, the health, the condition, that all varies. And your pathogenic load, your toxic load, your exposure to these toxins, where you live, your environment, the products you use, that all impacts your unique body blueprint. So that's important to consider. But when you understand your unique body blueprint and you would like address your adrenal strength and you know your adrenals are strong, you can cleanse and you can choose different kinds of cleanses. There are mono cleansing options, which are great for gut health and skin health. If you want something gentler, there are simpler cleanses. There are more accelerated cleanses like the one I'm doing, the Advanced 369. So yes, you can do those on long term and you can do them seasonally. Like I love to cleanse seasonally, but I also long-term cleanse because for me, cleansing isn't just a fad or a trend, it's a lifestyle. And so everything I do, like every single morning, I am making my lemon water, my celery juice, my heavy metal detox smoothie, and that is all part of a morning cleanse. So that is a cleanse in and of itself. But then the Advanced 369 cleanse is all raw. So no fat, no cooked food. That's just enhancing my body's ability to digest, to cleanse, and eliminate those toxins, etc. Okay. How do I know um, when I'm cleansing if it's just like a physical or emotional or energetic reaction or cleansing symptom? So, as I've said, cleansing is physical, energetic, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So, you'll cleanse, and sometimes you might feel old emotions, old patterns, old beliefs. You might feel old thought patterns coming up. You might notice old like sensations in the body, like physical discomfort. You might notice these like blemishes or acne breakouts happening. And that is a sign of cleansing, because when we're actually eliminating the root cause of acne, which is Streptococcus bacteria, and we're depriving it of its preferred fuels like eggs, gluten, and dairy, and you're giving your body these foods that are alkalizing and cleansing and healing, you're going to starve the pathogens of its preferred fuel, but then you're actually going to clear them out of your system. And so as the pathogens are moving out of the system, they might appear on the skin through the lymphatic system if it was in the lymphatic system, and just be cleansing in these other ways. So you might get the bloating, you might get a little bit of constipation, but it's not always the case, right? So know that it's so important to notice, like, if you're cleansing and you're feeling an emotion that's not related to something immediate in your reality, it's like, oh, this is probably something old. It feels residual. It's like, okay, thank you for healing. Thank you. Like, there can be a lot of pressure when we're cleansing, a lot of emotional pressure, a lot of physical pressure, and just noticing, like, where are we collapsing our pressure in search for comfort, and where can we expand and know that we are being forged under that pressure. Okay. Do I really need to cleanse if I eat healthy and I exercise regularly? Yes. Yes, you do. Because even if you eat healthy, there's such a vast definition of what it looks like and what it is to eat healthy. You could eat healthy, but some people think eating eggs and bacon and toast for breakfast is healthy. There are so many different definitions and concepts and ideas around what healthy is and what eating healthy is. A lot of people think high protein, high fat is healthy. A lot of people think, that the olive oil flushes are healthy. A lot of people think that caffeine and intermittent fasting, those are healthy things. So yes, because you're exposed to toxins. You live in this world. You're not of this world, but your body's still impacted by all of those toxic heavy metals, the pathogens, exposures, different things like that. If you're experiencing any sort of symptom, if you had something where it's like the fatigue or adrenal fatigue or hormonal imbalance or regular cycle, whatever it is, those are just symptoms, and symptoms are signs the body needs to cleanse. And cleansing is a foundational part in the healing journey. And sometimes when we're exercising, we can actually tax the body a little bit more. So know what your movement form is and what you're choosing. Okay, I've answered that. Yes, yes, yes. And then, is intermittent fasting right for everyone? No, 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 no. I went down this path of intermittent fasting and I felt really good intermittent fasting. And I thought, oh, my body's cleansing, autophagy, like it's cleaning up and eliminating the cells and debris in my body. But the reason I felt so good is because of the adrenaline, because the body, it runs on glucose, and glucose is the primary fuel for the body. So when we're not getting the glucose to our cells, the adrenals will release adrenaline to mobilize glycogen, which are long form chains of glucose monomers, to mobilize them to energize the body, to support the adrenals, and to give the body, the brain, the liver, the proper fuel, which is glucose. So intermittent fasting is not recommended. I don't recommend it for women, especially because it can really create hormonal imbalance and alter our cycle and create a lot of stress in the body, especially if you're looking at fertility and conception in the preconception era. You really want to focus on nourishing the body and adrenal snacking and eating more frequently and eating the right foods. It's all about timing, quality, and the type of food rather than the duration without food and all of that. So those are some of the nuances. I have answered all the questions that have come in from the question box, but you can always reach out to me with other questions. I am going to close this call, sign off. I'm going to teach Pilates this evening. So I am wishing you an incredible, incredible evening. If there are any questions that you have, please reach out to me. These are a weekly series. It's called The Art of Wellness. Is really about understanding the art of wellness, the art of your body, the art of creating and architecting radiant health, and knowing that you hold the power to create that masterpiece, to design your life and to architect radiant health. So thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor to walk on this journey to radiant health with you, and know that this is simply the beginning. And on our health journeys, there are ups and downs, just like when you climb a mountain, there are going to be steeper moments and climbs, but those moments are what catalyze your growth and strengthen you. So wherever you are, whatever you're feeling and experiencing, know that you can heal and you will rise. It's time to remember. It's time to become and to step in to your power. Have an incredible evening, and I will see you very soon. I'll see you when I see you.